So, I would like to portray Baba Saheb in three aspects. One, as an academic, two, as an activist, and three, as a policymaker. When many of us say, Chavi is only political party, so I will not do anything, but I will only do this political party, I think we have misunderstood those aspects. Today we know that even if you are in a political party, there is very less that you can do. But as a policymaker and a policy implementer, wherever you are, there is a tremendous amount that we can do. So as an academic, as an activist, and as a policymaker, how do you triangulate these powers of being knowledge creator, of being an activist who can move things, who not sufficient just by reading or writing a few essays here and there, no. Not by getting a few things, no. What is the way? So, I think if I trace the life of Baba Saheb and how he has transformed, of course he has transformed the society, that's a different thing, but how he has transformed himself as a person who has come from the clutches. Of course, there is also a saying that Baba Saheb has not come from the most excluded among the Dalit community, so it is easier, of course. Everybody can say that to anybody else, yeah, you are a little higher, you are not as poor, okay, he's come from, he's an IAS officer's son, or he's now in a very good position, so what is for him or for her, they can do things easily. No, I think wherever we are, we have faced exclusion. So even though he was a major's son, even though he had access to a little of these facilities that had protected him in the beginning, we all know the kind of exclusions that he has faced, the rejections that he has faced. And one of the primary things, I think at much, even now it is there, Vivek and others can share how difficult it is to establish oneself as an academic in India. It's much easier to do it outside the country than in India. To be such an academic that you are not only playing to the bands, or you are not only just writing for sake of getting a degree or something, that he has focused and trained himself to really address some of the issues that were concerned. All his works are really path-breaking. So first, if I have to follow Ambedkar as the nation builder, and we have also to do, I think Dalits and those other excluded communities have a greater chance in being nation builders than anybody else, because we are the ones, if we think of society, we think of the most marginalized community. And with the interest of the most marginalized, the rest of the society can come about. So, he was able to get to the roots of issues as an academic and started intricately examining the clutches which has held his society around him at that time. So, if I have to do it, I don't need to do it at the time of what Baba Saheb has done, because already he has done the job. Now, contextually, how is it that I will be able to contribute in this current area where everybody says this urban, where is caste? Caste doesn't exist. Where are the indicators? If you look at several indicators, they say, yeah, people are dressing, people are now. If you look at some of the indicators of education and others, health, there may not be as much of a difference, but probably we'll have to do what is the quality of education. Is it in primary education? Is it in higher education? Is it in technical education? Is it in arts? Look at the way arts and sciences are the thing now, where a Dalit, most of us can only get admissions in arts. will continue to be a voter. The beauty about Baba Sahib Ambedkar is, this is really a marvel for me. How is it that he has managed to be such a prolific writer and also have to have time for Mahat struggle and the several struggles that he has mobilized and organized? It's just impossible. I mean, apart from a handful of academics, how many academics are there with us today? When we are on the streets, when we are looking at atrocities, when we are looking at other aspects. I think it's a very critical aspect. Wherever you are, there is a necessity, not just for expressing your solidarity. In order to break the stranglehold of untouchability and casteism, you have to mix academic and activism. If you don't mix academic and activism, you are a Brahmin. I'm sorry, not a Brahmin, you are a Brahminical thinker. Because you feel that these two are different, that you can't get dirty with activism, that you are very comfortable only writing books and doing. So these guys are fighting on the streets. So we do something very different. But in Baba Sahib, as a nation builder, we have seen that it's only possible if you are able to reflect and investigate and put the results of that investigation into action for change. And then finally, this is the other problem that we will come across. The other tremendous thing that he has done is not only led struggles. I mean, Mahat struggle is only one. If you look at the land struggles that Baba Sahib has done, I think there are one or two research studies that have come of the land struggles that Baba Sahib has carried out in Aurangabad around the same time that the left was not, even before the left was not talking about it. It's amazing why they don't project this aspect of the land struggle that he has taken up. But anyway, that's a different issue. It's sometimes easy would have been easy for Baba Sahib to be an activist in the academy. Most people are. If you touch any, I mean, with due respects to Vivek, if you touch any JNU scholar, they are so angry. But many of them are very hesitant to participate in policy making. Because they don't want to be thinking about voters. You want to critique. That's not sufficient. Yes, critique we must do. Yes, that we must do. But when there are openings, you have to be willing yourself to that period. How many people have agreed with Baba Sahib Ambedkar? Very few. Each one has put up their candidate. We don't need to get into the names because that will generate other things. We have from South people who have, of course, many, tremendous billions who have been with him, but many visible leaders have said he is a stooge of the British. But he has worked with his enemy. He has learned to work with the enemy without compromising the substance. And therefore, you see a very, very radical view of Ambedkar as a the internalization. Because at some point, even though others consider me an untouchable or an excluded, I cannot afford anymore to act as an excluded and act in isolation. And many times I have to catch myself because I again see where is this coming from, which caste is that person is. Okay, it's necessary, but then I have to break the barrier of caste in this. And finally, we are not only street fighters anymore. We have to be owners of whatever is the thing. And I think at this particular present time, we don't have an option. I do not know how many of us we may have to carry this thinking. Not many of us are thinking that we should have Dalits. Recently there was a book that has come. I was very shocked that they quote people like me and saying that we are propagating for Dalitistan. That is Dalitistan and something. I think there are three things which they say. I don't know whether we are fighting for a separate country. I don't know. I mean, at this particular point, I'm willing to say that India is my country, and I will fight till the end to own that country and to ensure that I am an owner of this country. Dalits, but we'll have to. I mean, is it a space in the mind, or is it a geographical area like POK, or I don't know. I mean, we'll have to. At one time, it was clearly debated, but today we have to own. I have to own this country, and I own this country. And as an owner, I need to engage with the policymakers, I need to engage with the executives, I need to engage with the law to ensure that the law works for my people and my community. So I would like to congratulate the organizers, Dr. Amar Singh ji, Ravi, Krishna ji, and many others who are part of the common concerns. And we are also part in that sense that we very closely associate with you in your endeavors. And I'm sure that we have a tremendous, we're really fortunate to have the legacy of Baba Sahib, because not many people can have this kind of a model for them to lead and to have the lights and the insights that he has given to truly make us not only just participants, but we own this very country that